This is the Wolves POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
T-Wolves dig themselves into some deep trouble in Game 5. They get clobbered in San Antonio. 126-97, that's your final. What's going on back in the lab, back at it? Another T-Wolves postcast, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making this the #1 sports podcast network. Jack Borman with me as always. Give him a follow on X at JRBorman13, Wolves expert, NBA expert, Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Also, got to go follow our guy, Ben Beacon, host of the Locked On T-Wolves show. He's got your 30-minute daily dose breaking down everything Wolves related. Can't wait to hear his reaction from this one. Lots to get into here, Jack. Biggest turning point, where it all went wrong, right? Biggest second guess, plus what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Let's just jump right into it, though. Game 5 back in San Antonio. You sent me this earlier in the day. In NBA postseason history, Game 5 winners have gone on to win 82% of the time when tied 2 apiece in a best-of-7 series, according to ESPN research. Something to keep in mind, obviously, as we watch this one unfold the way it did. Rough first half for the Wolves, just a lot of lethargic offense, no ball movement, no creativity, too many turnovers. Defense wasn't much better. They go into the locker room down 12. Spurs led as many as 18 in that first half. Second half, Wolves come out, huge surge, blink of an eye, don't get up, go to the bathroom because they're tied back up at 61 apiece. Unfortunately, though, that was about as good as it got. 30-12 explosion by the Spurs. That just kind of sent the Wolves spiraling. They could never really crawl their way back from that. Wolves now in do-or-die territory back at home Friday night. But, Jack, what stuck out the most here? What's top of your mind right now from a big picture lens after this?
Yeah, top of my mind, big picture lens. I just think that it feels like this series is pretty cooked for the Wolves, just in the sense that the margins are just razor thin, and the non-negotiable for the Timberwolves in this series is that you got to play hard and got to play more physical. And in this series, I think that the team that's played harder and played more physical has won every single game. And the difference is that when the Wolves do that, they can eke out games, and when the Spurs do that, they can run you off the floor. And it's just really hard to win a basketball game in the postseason when you dig yourself a huge hole early on the road, right? 22-4 run, put the Wolves in a 15-point hole. Victor Wembanyama was fantastic in his return to the floor. Had 16 points in that first quarter. And then from there, just felt like the Spurs played way harder than the Wolves, especially on the glass, right? I mean, through 3 quarters, Dylan Harper is what, a 6'5", 6'6" guard, had as many offensive rebounds, 5, as the entire Timberwolves team, again, through the third quarter. In this game tonight, Rudy and Ant each only had 2 defensive rebounds, which is pretty putrid. And again, just to speak to the physicality, I love the way that Keldon Johnson came in and played for the Spurs off the bench. Was really intentional about trying to beat guys off the dribble, get into the paint, use his shoulders and his off arm to be able to create space and finish inside. And again, you're looking for guys that can do that. I mean, the Wolves have Naz Reid, the Spurs have Keldon Johnson, and tonight Johnson got the better of Reid in that aspect. And so that was a huge energy boost for them. And to think that, they had 2 guys coming off the bench and Johnson and Harper, that gave them 33 points was pretty massive. And the Wolves tonight, just 23 bench points. So that was an issue as well. And then to go on top of the effort piece, just guys aren't getting back. And when guys are getting back, there are just so many cross matches for San Antonio that allow them to be able to more effectively hunt guys defensively and make it harder for the Timberwolves to set up their defense the way that they are, right? I mean, you can't lose on the glass and in transition. The Wolves lost 50-42 on the glass and 19-14 in transition. So those 2 things are problematic. And then just, I thought offensively, right, obviously it's important to remember the context of Ant not being 100% and not trying to go too hard on him. But And obviously that he didn't get the requisite help that he needed, especially from Randall and Jaden McDaniels early in the game and Rudy Gobert, et cetera. But Ant makes his own life a lot harder, and that he walks the ball up the floor and then stops 2 feet inside the half court line, playing right into what the Spurs want to do. It basically turns a double team into a triple team, because not only do you have the 2 defenders in front of you, but then you have to worry about the half court line. It makes it much harder to make passes to the next defender, and then the next offensive teammate up top. And then it makes it harder for that guy to either drive or pass to another teammate because he's so far away from the basket. And so again, that just, I think, puts the Wolves in a place where they're not starting their kind of offensive sets early enough in the shot clock. I mean, there's 11 seconds left in the shot clock before anybody tries to do anything with the basketball, which is obviously not what you want. And I think it's an area, excuse me, where they really missed Dante DiVincenzo, right?
Yeah,
I think time. Obviously his 3-point shooting would be huge right beside that double team, but I think Dante also just does things quick, whether he does things right or wrong, makes a good play or a turnover or whatever, he does it quickly. And I appreciate that. And then for Ant as well, only three 3-point attempts in this game just can't happen, and only 13 shot attempts. I think a lot of people will cape and say, Ant's getting doubled the whole entire time, but he did not work hard enough off the ball to get off to, fight off defenders and get open. And I think a lot of that stemmed to do with how tired he was. And I think for Ant, I think these 2 days off are going to be really big for him. And I think that the Wolves just need a more aggressive version of Ant if they're going to be successful and force a game 7, right? And, outside of Ant, the margin is just razor thin, Luke. I mean, you can't have 3 guys that give you nothing. I mean, Julius Randle gave you nothing. It was a classic Randle, start playing hard once the game's out of reach in the fourth quarter. Rudy Gobert gave you absolutely nothing. TJ Shannon almost gave you nothing. At least he made some good passes, had 4 assists in this game. And then lastly, injuries. I thought Ayo Dosunmu looked by far the best he's looked since he came back. So that's obviously, a good thing for the Wolves to hopefully try to, have another guy in the backcourt that can do something. And then Dylan Harper, I thought looked awfully limited the first, 2.5 quarters, but then closed the game really strong for San Antonio. So hopefully he'll be all right for the rest of the series for them, and then potentially into the Western Conference Finals. But yeah, for the Wolves, just boils down to Ant playing into the Spurs' hands, Julius Randle not doing anything to help Ant out, not playing hard enough, and getting out physical. And those are all tough things to put in a game and expect to be able to win a game on the road.
Let's get to the biggest turning point from today.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Again, down 12 at halftime. Everything looked ugly. Everything looked hard. They come surging back in the third quarter. Great start to that third quarter. Tie it back up. Couple huge ebbs and flows in this one, Jack. One was that kind of pivotal sequence that you thought changed the momentum, I guess, and the outcome in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the same as game 2, right? When Jaden McDaniels headed to the bench in foul trouble, the entire complexion of the game changed. And again, the Wolves had all the momentum. They had just tied the game at 61, and Jaden McDaniels picks up his 4th foul after missing a floater with the Wolves, I think down 3 at that point. Just a frustration foul from him. There's just absolutely no need for it. I mean, between him and Rudy both picking up fouls in this game that put them in foul trouble after missed shots on rebounds that had already been secured, was just inexcusable and low IQ. And I mean, those 2 guys have played in so many big games over the past few seasons that they just have to know better. And for Jaden, I think that so much of the Wolves' success in this postseason has been directly tied to him being on the floor. And that's, not to necessarily say that, he's been awesome in all of these games. It's just that the Wolves don't really have anybody else that can backfill what he does on both ends of the floor. And you've just got to understand that, especially when you're already when you're 1 foul away from being in foul trouble, you've just got to be a lot smarter. And unfortunately, for Jaden, picked a bad time to make one of those plays, and has been so disciplined for such an extended stretch of this playoffs. But makes that foul, and then the Spurs go on a 7-0 run, and the Wolves go from down 3. 90 seconds later, it's a 9-point game, and they have all the momentum. And it just felt like they didn't have enough gas in the tank and enough shots to make, or enough made shots in kind of in the holster and the clip to be able to mount another comeback. And again, you give the Wolves credit for fighting back from the hole that they dug at the start of the game, but you can't just go on these prolonged stretches of one or no pass possessions, quick shots through in the shot clock that feed San Antonio running out in transition when you're not hustling back hard enough. And that's what happens. So for Jaden, I mean, 17 points in 30 minutes is great, was much more efficient in this game offensively, but again, just has to recognize his importance and the value he brings to this team and be smarter on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, good breakdown there. Great notes. Plenty more deep dive from this one. Biggest second guess plus what we'll be talking about tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. The playoffs are here. It's the most electric time in basketball on Kalshi. You can trade every single playoff game, every series, the conference finals, and the championship. You also got NHL action to choose from as well. Right now, you can get the Wild over the Avalanche at 15 times your money. $100 bet wins you over $1,600 if the Wild can upset Colorado and advance to the next round. On Kalshi, you're trading against your peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and buy out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/lockdownregulatory. This episode also brought to us by Rocket Money. Ever go check your bank account and go, where'd my money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment? So easy to lose track. That's where Rocket Money comes in. It's not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, your spending. It's all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and instead you start building some wealth. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot and helps you cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. Automatically categorizes your spending, so now you can actually see where your money is going. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel all the unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. This episode also brought to us by 5 Hour Energy. If you got a sweet tooth like I do, you know it's tough to find the perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why the Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy shots treat your taste buds to an explosion of flavor with tasty caffeine kick. Quick and easy way to satisfy the sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. Zero sugar treat that's sweet tooth approved. It's my new go-to when I need something sweet without going overboard. Get candy flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy shots, available at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, Jack, let's get into, I want to ask you who fudged up the most in this one.
Uh-oh, somebody messed up, and it's time to let them know with who fudged up.
All right, don't love playing this game. Sometimes we got to do it. Tough to, sometimes put all this on one guy or one move, one coaching decision, right? But if I made you pick one guy, who do you need to vent about the most right now after Game 5?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of out of energy to give to Julius Randle, but I just, again, I can live with missed shots. I can live with turnovers, but what I can't live with is a guy that just doesn't care and isn't playing hard. And that's the summation of Julius Randle in this series, I think, for the most part. I think he's just shown so little fight on both ends of the floor. I think he'll show a little bit of effort on some possessions here and there when he's engaged on the ball, but for the most part, it's the little things off the ball that he just couldn't care less about. Doesn't care about boxing anybody out, communicating, trying to fight over screens to prevent switches, those types of things. And I think, again, just stands around and watches so much. And like Ant tonight, has done so many things just way too slow. Just go quick. He's so big and so physical and so strong
Mhm.
and is so talented when he gets driving to the basket and doing things quickly, both as a playmaker and as a finisher. And the problem is that it just feels like so rarely does does he do that in this series at least. And well, and last series too. I mean, it's just been Julius Randle was phenomenal in the playoffs last year, sung his praises a ton. But he's been back to kind of who he was before he got to Minnesota in this postseason. It's unfortunate. I mean, the Wolves had a 91 offensive rating with him on the court in this game. They shot 22% from three with him on the floor in this game, and creating open threes is supposed to be, a huge part of his game, creating open threes for his teammates, and didn't do that enough. Did not use his gifts to get into the paint, collapse the defense, kick the ball out, and create open shots for his teammates. And that's the bare minimum if you're not scoring. But I mean, this is Anthony Edwards' number 2 option, making $30 million. And if I was Ant, I mean, I'd be having my agent say, hey, look, man, like, we're going to have some problems if this is the number 2 guy on the team offensively if we start the year next year. And it'll be really interesting to see how the Wolves handle it, right? Because Tim Connolly, you think about the D'Lo situation from a few years ago where everybody kind of expected the Wolves to trade D'Lo. They ended up holding him and making, well beyond when anybody expected them to, and flipped him at the trade deadline. And obviously got the Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, what became Leonard Miller, eventually helped get you Ayo Dosunmu. So, there's arguments to trading him, to keeping him, but I mean, just what you've seen in this postseason, like, you just need to get somebody that fits better next to Ant, especially without having Dante DiVincenzo, because I think he covers up some of the lack of spacing that you get with having both Randall and Gobert out there. So I think that's something that's going to be really important to keep an eye on this summer. I don't think there's really any hope in the Wolves getting anything better out of Julius Randle, because for 5 games, he's shown us, who he's going to be in this series. So I don't think there's any use in trying to say, well, how can Julius Randle get it going? What can he do differently? I think we've exhausted those talking points, but it's just really unfortunate that he hasn't been able to make more of an impact than he has, and be able to say, you know what, I'm not scoring, so I'm going to channel all my energy into doing other things for the team. And you could say the same for Ant tonight too, right? Ant was not a factor on the glass. He was not a factor as a playmaker. He was not a factor on the defensive end of the floor. And I think it's unfortunate sometimes that there's just not a guy that says, okay, Ant's struggling to get open, Ant's hurt, Ant's tired, I got to step up and I got to answer the call. And a lot of superstars like Ant have somebody like that next to them that they can go to. And the Wolves just don't really have that. And I think when you think about the fact that this Spurs team is going to be, you think about the Wolves, okay, the Wolves are constructed to beat this Denver team. This Oklahoma City, or excuse me, the San Antonio team, is going to be here for a long, long time. And when you think about just the age of their key guys, right? I mean, Harper's 20, Wemby's 22, Castle's 21, Carter Bryant is 20, Julian Champagne's 24, Devin Vassell's 25, Keldon Johnson's 26. So, I mean, they're going to be here for a while. I mean, you just got to figure out which guys can play in the playoffs and play in these types of series and which guys can't. And I don't think Julius Randle is one of those guys. So I don't think he should be on the team. And I think it's as simple as that.
Let's get to the biggest second guess we got from tonight.
Since hindsight is always 20/20, let's deliver today's second guess.
What is the biggest second guess tonight that you think maybe could have, changed some of the momentum, at least to a degree, right? Not necessarily changed the outcome, but at least the momentum to a degree, and gave the Wolves a bigger advantage in Game 5?
Yeah, I think. Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Well, just biggest second guess, anything stick out as far as obvious or glaring just off the jump that you would have changed, that you thought would have changed the momentum in this game?
Yeah, I don't know that there was something off the jump. I mean, the starting lineup was terrible in the start of the first quarter, but I mean, they were awesome at the start of the third quarter, right?
Yeah.
But I still think that you could make an argument that Naz Reid should play over Julius Randle. I think that he's been far more productive and proven time and time again in these games that he has been part of those lineups that have been really productive, especially offensively against Wembanyama with the spacing and just the physicality that he can provide. I think the fouls are tough, but second guess, I still think it would be for me. Another one is just like the schematics of when to crash the offensive glass versus when to get back. Like this team just is not doing a good job of getting back in transition. And so I think I would just hammer the offensive glass. That's where they found success in the games that have been close. And I think that's another way for the Wolves to be able to lean into playing more physical and can encourage them to play more physically because Lord knows they're not getting back defensively. So I think that's something that I'd watch for in Game 6.
Any quick hitters you want to fire off from Game 5? You got kind of in the back of your mind or locked and loaded here, Jack?
Yeah, I actually thought that this was a really well officiated game. I think some Wolves fans may disagree, but I thought it was well refereed. I thought they allowed a lot of physicality for the most part, which is great. That's what I want. I don't want any flopping on either side. I don't want touch fouls on either side. And I just think these two teams have so many players that can compromise each other's defenses. And, that's why you end up with 57 free throw attempts. But, it was fun to have what I thought were two really well officiated games in a row. And I think that just helps you see who the better team is. And it was unquestionably the San Antonio Spurs tonight. And it's been that way for the majority of the series. And, we'll see how much pride the Wolves have on Friday night.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, man, back to the Target Center for Game 6. That's Friday night. 2 days off of rest, much needed for Ant and company if they're going to go rip out 2 in a row now. Just knowing how this one played out in the fashion it did, what's kind of the A topic for you as the Wolves wake up tomorrow and start to prepare for that Game 6?
Yeah, again, it just comes down to are you going to be able to make open threes, right? And the Wolves have generated a decent amount of open threes in this series, and they haven't hit them at a very high clip. And so I think that's the only really hope that you can cling to from the Wolves is that you have a really good shooting game. I mean, when you think about Naz Reid, Mike Conley, Ayo Dosunmu, Anthony Edwards, all those guys are really capable 3-point shooters. And can Jaden give you a couple? Can Julius Randle maybe add 1 or 2? So I think that's going to be something that's important just because they've proven that they haven't been able to score efficiently and consistently inside the arc. So I think, if you can just force a Game 7, anything can happen, right? And I think basketball is a funny game in that, you never know who's going to step up in what game, no matter what the circumstances are. I mean, you look at that Denver series, especially Game 6, and we saw that. And I think, you just got to put yourself in a position where all it takes is one game. And, the unfortunate part for the Wolves is that the Spurs are already with that right now. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe you get a Carter Bryant game where Carter Bryant has 12 points and locks down Ant or Julius, or, maybe De'Aaron Fox makes all of his threes, or, whatever the case may be. And I just think that the number one way that you can combat that if you're the Wolves is just leave no doubt that you're the team that's going to play harder and play more physical. And if you can do that, then I think you have to like your chances about it being competitive. And if it's competitive in the fourth quarter, I mean, the Spurs are 1-3 in clutch games so far this postseason. I think that's the only thing that you can kind of cling to if you're the Wolves. So I think it's just hang on tight to the rope as long as you can, play as hard as you can, and try to make Wembanyama and Harper and Castle and Fox work as hard as they can. Make them work really hard for their points. And if you feel like you left everything out there and the Spurs come out on top of the scoreboard, then at least you're going into the offseason, feeling like you left everything out there. And I think speaking for myself, speaking for a lot of Wolves fans, I think the number one thing everybody cares about is just playing hard. We can deal with missed shots, you can deal with turnovers, you can deal with bad bounces, things like that. But I think that you just got to play hard. And I think the Timberwolves have proven that they can beat anybody in the league when they play, when they're the team that plays harder and imposes their physicality and is able to knock down shots. And all three of those things got to happen if you want to beat a team as talented as the Spurs.
Great stuff from Jack on a tough night. T-Wolves dig themselves into deep trouble in Game 5. They get crushed in San Antonio, 126-97. That's your final. Much love to all you guys, though, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go follow Jack as well on X at JRBorman13. And make sure to check out that Wolf Squad show as well. Jack, Sam Ekstrom, Kara Levins, Julia Daniels, Gopher Legend, Parker Fox as well. That's every Tuesday and every Thursday afternoon. Again, Game 6 Friday night, 8:30 p.m. tip, Amazon Prime. Appreciate all you guys. We'll catch you next time. Sign.